So I got this shirt just a year ago. Um, Neither of these guys are still on the Indiana Pacers, unfortunately, which for me, devalues the shirt or adds value now that it's vintage. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But a lot of change has happened in Indianapolis, being the point. Um, Bringing in Tyrese Halliburton, kind of, doing a bit of a rebuild here, but not kind of in a tear down Oklahoma City Thunder way, but in acquiring, known young assets and then trying to build off of them. We talk about Halliburton and bringing in Jalen Smith, bringing him back on a 3-year deal. Kind of we'll see what they do with kind of their older pieces. Talking about T.J. McConnell, Buddy Hield. Miles Turner isn't that old, but older than kind of the rest of that young core. Obviously, been on the trading block for like his entire career. Whether they'll actually pull the trigger on a Turner trade or kind of now see how he fits in a Sabonis-less world for a full season, you know, or if he can even stay healthy. I don't know, I think probably they lost kind of the peak of his value at some point, maybe last season, and then he got hurt, and just maybe it just isn't in the cards. We'll have to see, maybe they reevaluate towards the trade deadline in terms of maybe moving those guys. Because I think, McConnell and Hield do have value. Hield obviously been rumored in Lakers trades for the past year or so, and a lot of teams need shooting, and a lot of teams need a solid backup point guard, McConnell, and a stretch five rim protector, Miles Turner, also has value, just whether he can stay healthy and whether they actually want to move him. He's in the last year of his deal, so that now becomes a factor in terms of teams wanting to trade for him. So that's where we're looking at in terms of the veterans. You bring in Benedict Mathurin with the 6th overall pick. They definitely needed wing help, especially defensively, allowing a lot of points post-Sabonis trade, but putting up a lot of points. So hopefully Mathurin can help on the defensive side, still add, seem to impress summer league scoring the basketball. Hopefully that'll translate to, the actual NBA. And Chris Duarte coming back, hopefully full healthy season from him. Isaiah Jackson, O'Shea Brissett. They also drafted Andrew Nembsoft out of Gonzaga, who's, older prospect, but seems to probably will take on that T.J. McConnell role pretty quickly. And they seem to like him a lot in terms of how much money they gave him as a second rounder. Also Kendall Brown, who I saw on a lot of draft boards, in like the mid-20s, and just kind of just fell out completely of the first round. He should get an opportunity to play and kind of see if, he can prove he's a first-round talent in Indiana. Kind of excited about maybe seeing if that happens. So a lot to look forward to here in Indiana. I think it's going to be one of these teams that wins more games than they should or probably wants to, just because, I think another top 10 pick could really benefit them long term. Obviously, with Halliburton's development, I think he's, in terms of kind of pure point guards, is someone who can facilitate and score and shoot the ball really well. If he keeps just improving those aspects, and as a leader, I think he's going to be really, really good. Whether the Jalen Smith, if he's can develop into a starting big man. I didn't mention Goga Bitadze. Whatever. I had Toronto fans shit on me for pronunciation. I'm just gonna admit here, I'm not even gonna try and pull it off like I know Goga, the big man. What his future looks like in Indiana. We'll have to see. But yeah, I think this is a team that's going to play really hard for Rick Carlisle. This is a team that I think will win a lot of games just from like effort. And obviously, I mean a lot as in like more than probably expected, because obviously they came in 13th in the East. They probably, if you were going to plan it out, as much as you don't want to admit you want to lose this year, feel like if you're Indiana, you probably are okay just not making the play-in, but I could totally see them just sneaking in as a 10 just because they have some of this talent because of Halliburton, if Miles Turner's fully healthy. You know, some of the older guys do their thing, then could see him sneak in as like a 10 if, some of the other kind of teams in the mix there have injuries or just don't play up to their potential. Indiana could sneak in. I mean, it's not crazy, I don't think, to say that, but not ideal for them long term, which is always the weird kind of contradiction when you have rebuilding teams. I do think it'll be interesting to see how Isaiah Jackson does, because if there's one kind of glaring issue right now, I think it is at power forward and who you pair with Miles Turner and what that looks like. Because on paper, you would have thought Sabonis, would have made sense as being more like rebounding focused and distribution. Because Miles Turner's more around the perimeter and rim protection, but we'll see kind of what that front court looks like down the stretch here. And then the other thing is they traded this guy this offseason to Boston for kind of a lot of salary filler. Really, Tice is $8 million, so they might be able to flip him, and then kind of taking a flyer on Aaron Nesmith as just kind of a 3-and-D guy, more help on the wing. We'll get more opportunity and more minutes in Indiana than he did in Boston. Obviously, they're trying to win a championship. Indiana is just kind of rebuilding, and it makes sense. Is just trying to kind of see what you have in him. Maybe I think he in Boston was more a confidence issue. Didn't get a lot of just consistent minutes. So if he can build his confidence in Indiana, start shooting the 3 ball really well, could be a decent asset as a 3-and-D guy. Kind of curious how his development will go. But I guess that